a talk called Don't Spend Your Life Making Plans. And this is by Dilshad Master, Director, Operations and Business Development, Mercury Himalayan Explorations Limited. Dilshad is a business leader, a traveler, a writer, an inspirational speaker, and a cancer survivor. She has traveled to 23 countries and feels the journey has just begun. In 2012, when Dilshad was diagnosed with cancer, she decided that life was too short for planning anything. She lives by the taglines, just do it and impossible is nothing. She went for the Everest Base Camp Trek and the Zanskar rafting expedition in 2014, 2 years after she was diagnosed with cancer, and has attempted more adventures since. In August this year, she will be leading a trek to the Siachen Glacier. Dilshad's past career has included roles such as the COO of UTV and senior positions at Star TV and National Geographic. Please welcome the inspiring adventurer, Dilshad Master.
Thank you for the introduction. I think pretty much everything I wanted to say today, she's already covered. The first time I realized that life really didn't always go to the plan that you had in mind was when I met with my car accident at the age of 24. I had a big bus with a drunk driver that drove straight into me. And the accident was so massive that they found the bonnet of the car 50 meters away from the accident site. And I remember just seeing the faces of the people who helped pull my body out of the car, and I realized I was badly hurt. There was absolutely no pain, but there was blood all over. It was pouring out of my eyes and my face. And I remember that night holding my dad's hand really hard, screaming in pain. And I asked him, I said, "Why me, Daddy? Why me?" And he said something that even 26 years later I will never forget. He said, "Why not you, darling? What's so special about you?" That accident took me on a completely different path altogether. I guess 2 years in and out of hospital and 6 surgeries would do that to anyone. But I decided that I wasn't going to give my GRE exam like all my other friends, and I decided I really didn't want to go to the US and study at that time. And I took a path all my own. I decided to go to Bombay and study telecommunications and television management. And I remember my dad telling me, "But you wanted to do your CA." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to do it anymore." And he was like, "But why?" And I said, "I don't want to be crunching numbers all my life. That's not what I want to do." I've always been a bit of a restless creature. That's me at 16,000 feet. When everyone tells me to sit down quietly, I just couldn't sit still. I used to work 16-hour days. I have to confess, I was a workaholic. When I was on Star TV, they used to call me the Star TV booth because I used to come in at 7 a.m. and I never left before 11 p.m. in the night. The footsteps down the corridor that the night shift teams would hear were often mine. And then my father said something to me that I found really interesting. He said, "Darling, if you are in office for more than 8 hours a day, or if you're there when the moon comes up, you're bloody inefficient." Very loving family. The universe gave me a little message one day. I came back from the studio at 11 o'clock in the night and I see this little box on my desk. And I opened it and it was a fake Oscar statuette with a little letter from Rupert Murdoch, which thanked me for all my hard work and diligence and for all the money I had made him. I thought to myself, hang on a minute, the richest media mogul in the world is sending me a fake Oscar statuette as a thank you note? Seriously, there was something wrong right there. These are the other treasures that I would rather have, and I'll tell you about them. I could never take anything lying down. I was a planner. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and a Plan D if things didn't take off. And I always had a plan for everything in life. And the accident just changed it all. And I learned along the way that no matter how much I planned, If there was a path that was chosen for me, if there was a bridge that came in front of me that I had to cross, I was going to have to choose that path, and I was going to have to steer myself on it to eventually get where I want to be. I have a guru in Bombay who always tells me, she's a palmist, she reads my palms every year, and she says to me, every year your hands will change because you are the driver of your own destiny. And the way you drive your car, your life will take you. So I know that path will come and I know that bridge will come. But the point is, how do I steer myself? So I've met up with just exactly that kind of endless, long suspension bridge. If you've ever been on one, you hang on the side and you do this, and you know what? I get joy on my face and everybody else is like, stop, stop, stop. But it's so much fun. But this bridge wasn't fun. In February 2012, cancer found me. Knowing my family history, I should have known the search was so difficult. But we all live in this ridiculous bubble where we think we're completely immortal. I remember sitting at Tata Memorial, and the surgeon was looking at my history, and he looked up and said, darling, which part of family history did you not understand? But that's not the point. I was there, I had the pathology report on my lap, and I was furtively Googling because I didn't understand anything that was written on that report. There were words, they were all in English, but they could have been Greek or Latin to me. There was dysmoplastic stroma, and there was lobular something, and there was neoplasm something. And I kept looking at the report and saying, this is not me. I'm sure they've got it all mixed up. I'm super fit. I saw the surgeon walk in. I picked up the list and I looked at him. I said, what? And he was like, relax. And then I saw the words, conclusion, invasive tubular carcinoma. Now that was the only word I understood in the whole report, carcinoma. I didn't understand anything else. And I refused to accept it. I said, no, this is not me. I'm sure they've got the report mixed up. And then I heard my dad's words. He said, why not you, darling? What's so special about you? And then I realized that this was going to be a long fight. I had a 9.5-month-old daughter. And I had to snap out of my self-pity mode really, really quickly. At that time, I felt like I was rafting on my boat, except that I had been trapped in a whirlpool. If any one of you have ever done the wall at the rafting in Rishikesh and have been fallen into the water, you'll know what trapped in a whirlpool is like. It just keeps sucking you right in. You come up, you take a deep breath, and the water sucks you back. You come up, you take a deep breath, and it sucks you back in until the water decides to throw you out. You're not going to get out of that whirlpool. And that's exactly how I felt. I had 2 major surgeries, 30 sessions of radiation, and I was full of self-pity. And then I decided enough. Enough was enough. I was going to snap out of it. I decided I was going to trek to Everest Base Camp. Now, mind you, by now I was, I think, 46. My last trek was when I was 40. I thought trekking was the most stupidest thing anyone did. I just didn't understand, why would you trek? I have a trekking guru, and she's a dear friend of mine, and I would always ask her, Pawan, what's the big deal? She said, darling, it's the little butterflies, and it's the little flowers, and it's the little rivulets. And I'm like, oh God, that sounds so boring. And this was it. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Totally unplanned. I was going to trek to Everest Base Camp. When I was heading National Geographic Channel, I had devised a show called Mission Everest, where we sent 5 ordinary Indians to the Everest Base Camp with the Indian Army. And that was in 2003, and we were talking 2014. And I've always wanted to go to Everest Base Camp since then. So I decided that I wasn't waiting any longer. That mountain was calling, and I was going to go. So I got back onto my feet, and I started training. But I was on medicines and injections that caused severe insomnia, joint pains. And the worst of all, it gave me a 0.2% chance of contracting another form of cancer. It wasn't a chance I was willing to take. My little girl needed me, and I wanted to be there to watch her grow up. So I made a deal with the surgeon. I said, I will go in for a preemptive surgery, a very major surgery, but you have to get me back on my feet in 6 weeks, because 2 weeks after that, I'm going for the Everest Base Camp trek. And she was like, I don't think it works that way, Dilshad. I was like, no, that's the only way it's going to work. If you want me to do this surgery, this is the only way it's going to work. So she said, okay, 6 weeks, if you behave yourself, I will let you go. I said, fine. 6 weeks later, I was back on my feet. And I decided that I had to get into training. I had just 2 weeks left. That's my father-in-law. He's my mentor, one of the most celebrated mountain climber in the country. And I remember asking him, Pala, am I going to be able to make it there? And he said something to me I'll never forget. He said, my dear, there's going to be a point in time when your body will give up. But you will continue with your mind. And eventually, it is your mind that will get you there. Wiser words were never spoken. And so I started training. I would walk 50 meters, literally 50 meters, and I would crumble on the side of a road, a forlorn heap, whining away. My husband would come up, stare at me. What? I was like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm breathless. He said, yeah, your body has been fighting cancer for the last 1.5 years. Of course you're freaking breathless. Get up. Walk. Stop whining. Thank God for a cruel husband. And that's how I live my life now. Get up. Walk. Stop whining. I prefer to live this way than to think of all the other, the bad things. My surgeries for cancer didn't go off really well. I still have a large percentage of chance of contracting another form of cancer. I'm happy with the odds. I'm going to carry on. So I quit my job eventually. I quit the corporate world completely. And I joined my husband in the adventure travel business. There was absolutely no plan to do so. It just seemed to be the right thing to do at that time. So today, I do for work, all of you do for a holiday. That's my workplace. That's the Trans-Himalayan Kashmir trek that I went on. It's a trek that nobody has done for 30 years. And I decided that I wasn't going to plan anything at all in my life. The only time I'm a meticulous planner now is when I'm planning itineraries and holidays and experiences for my clients and my guests. In my personal life, it's a complete free-for-all. My husband and I just bundled our 5-year-old into a car last December and decided to drive to Goa from Delhi. There was absolutely no plan, no bookings, nothing. We landed into Munich. We hired a car, opened a map, and played tic-tac-toe, deciding where to go. I went to Kashmir, and I had absolutely no clue what the trekking itinerary was. I wasn't leading the trek. I was going with somebody else. I didn't care. I had my backpack. I didn't even know how many days the trek was going to last. And that's how I prefer to live my life now, because I have figured that the more I plan, the more the universe decides he's going to do something else for me. The only time the planning flags flutter in my head are where my health is concerned. I eat the right kind of foods. I drink sufficient quantities of water. I have cut out all forms of artificial sugar from my diet completely. I'm a good girl where exercise is concerned. I wear this fitness band, which is attached to a life coach at the other end who calls me up if I've been lazy. And I do everything I need to do to take care of my own body. Because I know that if I am healthy, the rest of the people around me will be healthy. I have a huge amount of cheerleaders around me. That's my loving husband, my ever-positive mom, who at the age of 70 decided she wanted to come rafting with me, a fantastically the best mother-in-law in the world, amazing, amazing friends, and a little 5-year-old who wants to know when Mama's going to stop going to Bombay to have her boobies checked. And these are the people that keep me going. But this I have to say, and it's just my one word of advice to all you ladies and gentlemen out there. Your body is your own. Your health is your own. You have to take care of it. No man in the world, a very rare man in this world, however loving he may be, is not going to accompany you for a mammogram. Watching your breasts being crushed between two slabs of steel is not exactly his version of a holiday. So take care of your own body. You are as healthy as you possibly are. And stop with the planning. Stop with the wishing. I have a whole group of friends who are at Everest Base Camp right now. And there were another bunch of friends who wished they could be there, but they decided not to go for some reason. And so on the timeline, I can read, oh, I wish I was there. And I was like, stop. You should have just gone. Why are you wishing for anything? The universe has a plan for you. If you're going to plan something and the universe has a plan that's contradictory to it, it's not going to work in any case. So just go. I saw these words long time back in a campaign, impossible is nothing, and I always felt it was absolutely an amazingly worded campaign. But in my last 5 years, the journey that I have been on, if I look back, I think to myself, there is no way in hell I could have been able to do all this. I was never a trekker. I was a swimmer, I was a gymmer, I was a walker. But I could not imagine myself getting into a wetsuit and going for a rafting expedition on the Zanskar where the temperature of the water is minus 10 degrees. It was just impossible. But my adventures have taught me so many things. So today I live by two key taglines of my two favorite brands. Impossible is nothing, and just do it. Don't listen to your husbands, don't listen to your wives, don't listen to your fathers and mothers and brothers-in-law, and don't listen to anyone. Certainly don't listen to your doctors. Just do it. Do it now, not tomorrow, not later, not, oh, I wish someday. Now. That's the only way to live. This August, I head for my most challenging trek to Siachen Glacier. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to get there and back, but I know I'm going. Thank you.